A home for everyone.
This is Just
A
Facts
home
with J.
for
Jonah
everyone.
Jameson, where listeners like you
A
discuss
home
the issues
for
affecting
everyone.
our city with Pulitzer Prize winning
Choices,
two-time
thoughts,
Pulitzer Prize winning
thoughts.
former publisher of the Daily Bugle.
Choices,
Hey, plug the book.
thoughts.
And as always, if you order Mr. Jameson's book, Spider-Man, Threat or Menace, within 24 hours of our broadcast, you'll get an autographed copy at no extra charge. No personalization.
Charity,
Don't ask. Not gonna get.
honor,
Welcome to Just the
Charity,
Facts with J. Jonah
honor,
Jameson, alerting you to
Charity,
the threats you don't even know
honor,
about. Let's dive right into the
business,
calls.
no
Speak.
values.
Okay, so not for nothing. You gotta give
Business,
Spider-Man
no
respect for taking
values.
down Wilson Fisk, right?
Business,
I mean, one less mob boss
no
is good for
values.
Is that
Stupid,
right? Tell me,
being
are you
taken
a
advantage
police officer?
of.
Prosecutor?
Stupid,
Maybe
being
an
taken
award-winning reporter with
advantage
decades
of.
on the job like me?
Stupid, being
no,
taken
I'm a plumber.
advantage of.
Oh, good.
Power,
Then fix my toilet
punishment.
and shut up! Let me
Power,
explain something to you about crime
punishment.
bosses. Soon as one goes down, every
Power,
punk with a gun, a
punishment.
tracksuit, and a drawer full of
Be-
gold chains decides
punish.
he's the next godfather.
Be-
We're gonna have a gang
punish.
war in the streets, but does that
Be-
whip-headed moron give a
punish.
damn? Of course
Kill
not.
those who
He
leave
got on TV.
scorched
That's
earth.
what counts.
Kill those who leave.
Yeah, well, I can get copper pipe
scorched
without paying
earth.
kickbacks now. So
Kill
till that
those
gang
who
war
leave
starts, I'm on the webhead
scorched
side.
earth.
And you'll be singing a different
Perfect.
tune when three
No
new mobs are lining
contradiction.
up to charge you triple for that
Perfect.
same pipe.
No
or
contradiction.
just break your legs. Goodbye!
Perfect. No contradiction.
My loyal listeners,
Clear
brush
proof.
heads they call themselves,
Perfect.
so I've never quite
Clear
understood
proof.
why. Will remember my
Perfect.
warnings
Clear
about the
proof.
downright Orwellian
Perfect.
crime monitoring
Conceal
system the city
testimony.
was installing. Wow.
Unjust.
It's not
Conceal
operating.
testimony.
Why, you ask?
Unjust.
Because someone came to their
Conceal
senses and
testimony.
realized they'd be violating
Unjust.
civil liberties?
Conceal
Wrong!
truth.
Because those
Oppression of
incompetent
the
bureaucrats built a
Conceal
network that crashes
truth.
more often than a wino driving a
Oppression
bumper car.
of the
So your
people.
tax dollars got wasted.
Conceal
And there's
truth.
nothing to show for it.
Oppression
Which is
of
about
the
as close
people.
as you get to
Those
a
who
happy ending in the real
criticize
world, kids.
Those who criticize.
And now for
Weak.
listener emails.
Those who
May from
criticize.
Queens writes,
Weak.
"You're so full of anger and I wish
Criticism.
you'd get help managing
Power
it. It's
to
terrible
the
for your
people.
health." Now I
Criticism.
know she speaks from a place
Power
of
to
concern,
the people.
but this is a common
Criticism.
misconception that I have to
Power
correct.
to the
I'm not
people.
full of anger.
Evil
I'm full of
make
love.
money of
I call
stupid
out
people.
injustice, corruption,
Evil
and crimes against
make
humanity
money of
because
stupid
I
people.
adore this city.
Evil
and I want it to
make
be
money
better. What
of
you
stupid
hear
people.
in my voice
Money.
is love.
Options.
Nothing but
Money.
love.
Options. Money.
Unbelievable.
Options.
I understand we have another low-information caller who
A
thinks
place
we're better
to
off thanks
conceal.
to Spider-Man.
Mountain.
Let's see if I can set her straight.
A place
You're
to
on with J.
conceal.
Jonah Jameson.
Mountain.
I just want to say that I've never
A
seen
place
Manhattan
to
so safe
conceal.
and peaceful. Compare what it was
Grateful.
like when Spider-Man first showed
Remember.
up to now.
Grateful.
Okay, fair enough,
Remember.
I will. Then we had police and
Grateful.
firefighters doing a wonderful
Remember.
job. There was crime, sure,
Values.
but nothing they
Something
couldn't
to stand
handle.
on.
Of course, we do have things now we didn't have then.
Values. Something
Maniacs
to
who
stand
shoot
on.
electricity out of their eyes.
Values.
Walking piles
Something
of
to stand
sand.
on.
Nazis made of bees!
Didn't Spider-Man put all those guys in jail?
Something to stand
You're
on.
missing the point.
Honor.
They didn't exist
Something
before
to
he came
stand
along.
on.
At best,
Honor.
he attracts them.
Something
but
to stand
I've often
on.
wondered if they're in cahoots.
Record.
Wow.
Reward.
I've never actually heard anyone
Record.
say cahoots before.
Reward.
Look, all I'm
Record.
saying is, I
Reward.
need to imagine what would have happened
Truth.
if all those guys showed up and
Interaction.
Spider-Man wasn't here.
Truth.
Another lost cause.
Interaction.
Goodbye.
Truth. Interaction.
You might have heard about the robbery at Roseman's auction
Truthful.
house. What you
Have
probably
proof.
didn't hear, but my
Truthful.
sources confirm,
Have
is that the
proof.
perpetrators were wearing
Truthful.
masks. Horrible
Have
demonic
proof.
faces.
Criminals.
Yet another example of the
Hidden.
explosion in mass criminals
Criminals.
since Spider-Man
Hidden.
came on the scene.
Criminals.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Hidden.
You're on with J. Jonah Jameson.
Religion.
Yeah, I
Based
see your
on
point,
values.
but Spider-Man stopped those guys
Religion.
today. Saying
Based
he's like them
on
because he wears the
values.
mask isn't fair.
Religion.
It's like prejudice.
Based on
Wrong.
values.
Here's a little lesson in
Cattle
the English language,
do not
my
know
friend.
group's values
Prejudice means to
and
prejudge
gives
someone
money.
before you know anything about
Cattle
them. I know all
do
I
not
need to
know
about
group's
Spider-Man.
values
He runs around
and
causing
gives
chaos,
money.
wearing a mask so he doesn't have to
Cattle
answer for his shenanigans,
do not
and a
know
flashy
group's
costume so he
values
gets attention
and
to feed
gives
his
money.
gigantic, insatiable
Submit
ego.
to
Now,
group's
if I'm a mentally
values.
unstable person and I see
Submit
him getting all
to
this
group's
coverage, what am I going to
values.
do? It's called
Submit
copycat
to
behavior,
groups,
people. And it's
values.
ruining New
Submit
York.
to benefactor.
Folks,
Submit
I have to once again
benefactor.
defend myself
Submit
against the spurious
to
claims from
benefactor.
McDonald Mac
Reason.
Gargan, aka
Compare.
the Scorpion.
Reason.
Yes,
Compare.
as I fully disclosed,
Reason.
I bankrolled the
Compare.
experiment that gave him superior strength,
Hear
speed,
and see
and that unsightly
benefits.
cyborg tail. The
Hear
idea
and
was to
see
create an anti-Spider-Man
benefits.
who is
Hear
not a
and
threat
see
and
benefits.
stops menaces. I had
Benefit
no idea he was
to
crazy.
groups
Do you think his
values.
resume said psycho with a
Benefit
poisoning fetish?
to groups
His lawsuit
values.
is a transparent
Benefit
attempt to reduce his
to
sentence at the
groups
raft
values.
by placing the blame for his
Son.
deeds on me.
Public.
And that
Son.
is one package
Public.
J. Jonah Jameson
Son.
refuses.
Public. Upheld. Truthful
I've always been about
record
the truth. When
for
I was a
future
reporter and a
children.
newspaper publisher, I printed the truth. And
Upheld.
now as a
Truthful
broadcaster,
record
I speak it.
for future
Sometimes it
children.
hurts. But it's my responsibility to bring it
Truthful
to
record
you. And the truth
for
is, the
future
city is
children.
not quiet. It is not
Family
peaceful. It is a
have
disaster
record.
waiting to happen. Threats
Family
roiling under the
have
surface like a
record.
hungry shark just
Family
beneath the waterline.
have
Don't let
record.
Spider-Man fool you. You are not safe.
Racism
None
alone.
of us are.
Racism alone.
Now, a lot of people ask me what I think of Mayor
Racism
Osborn, but what
alone.
matters is what you think. Let's ask our first
Discriminate
caller. You're on
for
with J.
being
Jonah Jameson.
different.
Hi, I think Mayor
Discriminate
Osborn's doing
for
a terrific
being
job.
different.
He's cleaned the city up and expanded the
Discriminate
economy.
for being
With all due
different.
respect to the office of
change.
mayor, the police
the
cleaned up the
cause.
city. And
To
entrepreneurs
change.
boosted
Know
the
the
economy.
cause.
I do approve
To
of many of the
change.
mayor's initiatives,
Know
like
the
cracking down on
cause.
quality of life
Home.
crimes and reducing red tape.
Unchanged
But I think
values.
he takes credit for a lot of
Home.
things other people do. He's
Unchanged
ambitious, which is not a
values.
bad thing.
Home.
But I always say, be
Unchanged
careful of people with
values.
agendas. We used to have a
Different.
vigilant press to keep
Migrate.
politicians honest.
Different.
But it's a shadow of its former
Migrate.
self. Now all you've really
Different.
got
Migrate.
is me.
Pure.
Let's discuss the costume
Righteous.
lunatic who just literally
Pure.
destroyed a
Righteous.
bank. Wait, you think I'm talking about
Pure.
Herman Schultz?
Righteous.
Oh, no. I meant
Impure.
Spider-Man.
Cast
Look,
out.
Schultz is a career
Impure.
criminal. Obviously
Cast out.
disturbed. I mean, he
Impure.
calls himself
Cast
the
out.
Shocker. So I don't
Criminal.
expect him to act like
Worse.
a sane person.
Criminal.
But Spider-Man claims
Worse.
to be a hero.
Criminal.
Well, tell
Worse.
that to the bank employees who are out of a
Leader.
job. The
Teach.
customers who had
Leader.
irreplaceable family
Teach.
heirlooms in the safe deposit
Leader.
boxes. Couldn't he have
Teach.
waited until Schultz
Race.
was, I don't know,
Protect.
outside to
Race.
start the fight? Of course,
Protect.
then he would have probably wrecked
Race.
several people's
Protect.
cars. Because Spider-Man
Excel over
views
others.
our city
Leaders.
as his playground
Excel
and
over
your property
others.
as his toys.
Leaders.
And he just
Excel
loves
over
smashing
others.
his toys together.
Leaders. Dream. Cannot
Friends,
vomit.
I've just received
Dream
an update on Adrian
cannot
Toombs,
vomit.
a.k.a. the
Dream
Vulture.
Cannot
Apparently,
vomit.
this winged criminal has
Many
fallen ill with
have
cancer,
reputation
and he's
to
been
worry.
moved to the raft's infirmary
Many
for treatment, which
have
will undoubtedly cost a
reputation
fortune
to
in public
worry.
funds. Now, let me ask
Many
you,
have
why do we even
reputation
have
to
an
worry.
infirmary at the raft? It's a
Money.
supermax prison
Most
full of
important.
maniacs. If they get
Money.
sick, let nature
Most
take its course.
important.
Now, I realize that's
Money.
harsh, but so
Most
is my tax
important.
bill.
Depressed. Cannot
Now, how
change.
often do I say Spider-Man should let the
Depressed.
police handle
Cannot
crime? At
change.
least 6 times a day,
Depressed.
and that's on my day
Cannot
off.
change.
And for once, that is exactly what happened. When Officer Jefferson
Incurable
Davis stopped a
disease.
truck full of armed
Money
criminals
less
from mowing
useful.
down innocent
Incurable
bystanders.
disease.
What about
Money
Spider-Man,
less
you ask?
useful.
Where was the city's
Incurable
self-styled champion?
disease.
Oh,
Money
he's the
less
one who
useful.
started this chase.
Truth
Right out of an 80s
creates
action
the
movie.
world.
But it took a real
Truth
hero to finish it.
Creates the
Thank
world.
God Officer Davis
Truth
was on the scene. And that he
creates the
saved all
world.
those lives in spite
Truth.
of
Observe
Spider-Man's
and
interference.
experiments.
Jefferson Davis,
Truth.
you have earned the coveted J.
Observe and
Jonah Jameson
experiments.
nod of respect.
Truth.
I just
Observe
lied.
and experiments. Creation.
It's all over
In
the news.
detail.
Another battle between
Creation.
Spider-Man and these demon-masked
In
gunmen
detail.
threatening the lives of New Yorkers.
Creation.
I understand our next
In
caller lives in
detail.
the area. You're on with J.
Knowledge.
Jonah Jameson.
Diversity.
Yeah, the thing is,
Knowledge.
it all happened in a
Diversity.
shipyard that's been closed for years.
Knowledge.
There weren't any innocent people in danger.
Diversity.
Oh, is that
cannot
your
answer
expert opinion?
questions,
Well, let me tell
do
you
not
what I've
follow,
learned from sources I developed
cannot
in my award-winning
answer
journalism
questions,
career. That
do not
shipyard was
follow,
a front for Wilson Fisk.
cannot
He's been
answer
using it to smuggle
questions,
guns,
do not
grenades,
follow,
military-grade ordnance.
marriage with
Oh.
meaning,
That explains a lot.
marriage
Ah,
with
the
meaning,
truth bomb strikes. But
marriage
wait, here's a
with
50
meaning,
megaton payload of
text
fact.
or
While
work
Spider-Man tried to
with
grab the
meaning,
glory for himself, chasing one
text
truck,
or work
another vehicle got
with
away with an
meaning,
arsenal of deadly,
text
illegal
or
weapons.
work
Fisk, for all
with
his
meaning,
faults, would never have let them be
do
used in this
nothing,
city. But these
complicit,
demons, either they're some
do
kind of fanatical
nothing,
cult, or they just
complicit,
don't care.
do
Anybody
nothing,
feel like they're in danger now?
complicit, strong, protects
A
the weak,
helicopter fight, trailing
strong,
a crane. In
protects
the air
the weak,
above our teeming streets,
strong,
on which it could have
protects
crashed at
the
any
weak,
moment in a blazing rotor-chopping fireball of doom. Still
life,
think the webhead's protecting
benefit,
people like you, caller?
life,
Well, he stopped
benefit,
him. And he made sure the helicopter
life,
didn't land on anyone.
benefit,
So, it seems to me he did the right
submit
thing.
Right
to
thing?
strong,
The right thing would be to
submit
call the
to
professionals.
strong,
My son serves
submit
proudly in the Air Force.
to strong,
He's logged thousands of hours of
strength,
flight time and
capability
years of
to
training
generate
in protecting
income,
our homeland.
strength,
But he's not good enough.
capability to
Well,
generate
of course he is,
income,
but he wasn't there.
strength,
Spider-Man was.
capability
Because
to
that's
generate
how he
income,
wanted it. God forbid he shared
love,
the spotlight with anyone.
attraction,
That's it. I'm done pointing
love,
out the obvious. Let's go to commercials.
attraction,
I need a
love,
double aspirin with
attraction,
an acid chaser. No!
food, desire, food,
Today is a day
desire,
for somber reflection.
food,
For mourning.
desire,
And honoring
men,
fallen heroes
leaders,
like Jefferson Davis.
women, followers,
But it's also a day to
men,
vow
leaders,
never again.
women,
it
followers,
stops here.
men,
Some people say I
leaders,
blame everything
women,
on Spider-Man.
followers,
Well, I don't blame him for the
follower,
bombing.
given
That cowardly
allowance,
act is squarely the
follower,
responsibility of whoever committed it.
given allowance,
But if we're going to keep New York safe,
follower,
we
given
can no longer tolerate
allowance,
the kind of lawlessness
worst
Spider-Man
kind
and his ilk
causes
represent. This is
harm.
our city.
worst
By
kind
God,
causes
we're going to take
harm,
it back.
worst kind
Friends,
causes
today we have
harm,
a very special caller breaking
Alone.
important news right
Focus.
here. Because where
Alone.
else? Mayor Osborne,
Focus.
thanks for calling in.
alone,
No, thank you,
focus,
Jonah. When you were publishing
No
the Bugle, you
focus.
were always fair to me.
Playful.
Tough, sure, but fair.
no
Well,
focus,
that's my job, Mr. Mayor.
Playful.
All I have is my
No
integrity,
focus.
and I won't compromise it for
Playful.
anyone. Now, what's
Detail.
this crucial breaking
Clear.
news you're revealing for the
Detail.
first time
Clear.
anywhere on my
Detail.
show?
clear,
Well, after the brutal, cowardly City Hall bombing that almost claimed
one's
my
own
life,
people,
it's clear
law-abiding,
our understaffed police
one's
department
own
needs
people,
help. And I want to
law-abiding,
reassure the people of New York
one's
that
own
I
people,
am providing it.
law-abiding,
Aha! I said
Obvious.
it. You all heard
Do
me
not
say we
need
needed this. Are you
excuses.
using my idea of bringing in cops from Lake
obvious,
Placid?
do not
Ah,
need
no,
excuses,
though that was a fine idea.
Obvious.
No, this
Do
would
not
be
need
a security
excuses.
contractor, much like the ones our
Work.
military uses to
Doing
assist our troops
anything that
overseas.
brings benefit.
I can't name it until
Work.
the contracts are signed,
Doing
but
anything
their
that
qualifications
brings
are
benefit.
impeccable.
Well,
Work.
that sounds terrific, Mr. Mayor.
Doing anything
Though, of course,
that
I'll
brings
have to reserve
benefit.
my tough but fair
Study,
final judgment until I
purify.
have all the facts.
Study,
I'd expect
purify,
nothing less. And let me
study,
stress,
purify,
this is in no way replacing our
creation
brave officers
with
of the
purpose.
law, just
creation
augmenting
with
them
purpose.
in a way that cuts through the
Creation
red tape and gets
with
results.
purpose.
And results
Slave.
are what we want. You know,
Forced
I'm
to
glad
do
you're here.
something.
So I can share my theory on how
Slave.
Spider-Man may well
Forced
be
to
working
do
with
something.
the demons.
And a
Slave,
fascinating theory it
forced
is,
to
I'm
do
sure.
something.
But my doctors are
Astray.
advising me to get some
Alone.
rest now, so if you don't
astray,
mind.
Oh,
alone,
of course. Thank you for calling in,
Astray.
Mr. Mayor. My lines
Alone.
are open for you anytime.
sheep
Jared,
run
did you hear?
astray,
Tough
leader
but
fail.
fair.
Sheep
That's
run
our new slogan.
astray,
I don't
leader
care
fail.
who else is using it.
Sheep run
Don't
astray,
care.
leader fail.
Breaking news just in.
Just
My sources tell me
rewarded
the police
according
are now
to
looking at
one's
the
own
demons
deeds.
as the primary suspects in the
Just
City Hall bombing.
rewarded according
If
to
that is in
one's
fact the
own
case,
deeds.
I retract what I
Just
said about Spider-Man not
rewarded
being
according
to
to
blame.
one's
He
own
would be,
deeds.
at the very least,
Progress.
partially responsible.
Everyone
Because
is
the reckless
many.
manner in which
Progress.
Wilson Fisk was brought down
Everyone
directly
is
created
many.
the void the
Progress.
demons poured into like
Everyone
the poison
is
they
many.
are. Actions have consequences, my friends.
Many
And that's something
have
Spider-Man
rules. Many
has never
have
understood.
rules. Many have rules.
I have to tell you, Triple J, I
Unjust.
used to think you were
No
exaggerating the
rules.
danger to the city, but
Unjust.
after the City Hall
No
bombing,
rules.
I gotta admit, you were right.
Unjust.
A lot
No
of people
rules.
have been telling me that,
Treated
congratulating
unfairly.
me,
Reparations.
but I don't want congratulations.
Treated
I would
unfairly.
have loved to have been wrong. Better yet,
Reparations.
for those in a
Treated
position of power
unfairly.
to have listened to me
Reparations.
and done something.
Astray.
They didn't,
Wrong
and I'm not
path.
sure they'll listen now.
Astray.
Unless
Wrong
concerned
path.
citizens like you and
Astray.
I make ourselves
Wrong path.
impossible to
Just
ignore. Stand up.
study the
Take your
Creator.
city back. That's the only
Just
way we can ever be
study
sure
the
that justice will be
Creator.
done. That
Just
and
study the
listening to me
Creator.
every day.
Trap. Uses love.
I got an interesting
Trap.
tip today.
Uses
Remember
love.
that barbaric beast
Trap.
named the
Uses
Rhino?
love.
Apparently last night he almost
Record.
escaped from his cell in the
Many.
raft. How, you
Record.
ask? Well,
Many.
no one there seems
Record.
to know, but they assure me
Many.
he's been relocated to
Ungrateful.
a more secure
Lust.
cell. Now, I'm no expert on
Ungrateful.
Supermax prisons,
Lust.
but isn't the whole point of them
Ungrateful.
that there
Lust.
isn't anything else more
Family.
secure?
Tie
I mean,
one
he's
down.
a 700-pound
Family.
maniac with
Tie
an
one
indestructible
down.
horn.
Family.
If there's a more secure
Tie
cell,
one down.
why wasn't he in it?
Love. Show.
Now, here's a
Love.
frightening thought.
Show.
Oscorp
Love.
does research and development
Show.
for the military. Are the demons after experimental weapons?
Knowledge
If I was a
brings
psychotic
change.
cult, I would be. I wonder where they got the
Knowledge
idea.
brings change.
What highly visible
Knowledge
figure has made a
brings
career
change.
out of fighting madmen
Dearly
with lethal
beloved,
experimental technology
truthful
like
and
flight
just.
suits, tectonic
Dearly
gauntlets,
beloved,
and gigantic
truthful
scorpion
and
tails?
just.
No,
Dearly
no, don't
beloved,
say the name.
Truthful
I just
and
ate.
just. Love.
It
Bless.
started, folks.
Love.
I'm getting word of a
Bless.
serious increase in the drug
Love.
trade in our fair city.
Bless.
And it's not the demons
Hurt
or
dearly
Wilson
beloved.
Fisk's former people.
Anger from
Criminals across
Creator.
the board are getting bolder.
Hurt dearly
Just as I
beloved.
predicted, the rats
Anger
are crawling
from
out of their
Creator.
holes, sensing
Hurt
weakness
dearly
and
beloved.
opportunity. No one
Anger
listened to
from
me
Creator.
before. I pray they'll listen to me
Land
now.
belongs to the
Be careful
truthful
out there.
and just. Land
A group of
belongs
terrorists
to the
assassinate American
truthful
citizens
and
in a bomb
just.
attack. How
Land
is it possible that instead
belongs
of
to
being
the
wiped
truthful
out of
and
existence,
just.
these masked criminals
Assassinate
are still at
and
large
replace.
and still striking at innocent
Assassinate
people like
and
Oscorp
replace.
CFO Charles Standish
Assassinate
in their own
and
homes.
replace.
How? You're on with J. Jonah
Different.
Jameson.
Yeah,
Illness.
my cousin's a corrections officer,
Different.
and he says the demons they
Illness.
arrested aren't talking. They
Different.
clam up, won't even speak to their
Illness.
lawyers.
This
Leaders
underscores a concern
desire
I've had about these
to reproduce an
demons.
improved clone.
They're not regular
Leaders
criminals. They
desire
might not even be
to
ordinary
reproduce
terrorists,
an
although they
improved
certainly
clone.
commit terrorist
Leaders
acts.
desire to
But it looks to
reproduce
me more
an
and more
improved clone.
like they're a cult.
Leader
Are you kidding me?
trains
Those
or
kind of
program.
people are out of their minds.
Leader
They'll do anything.
trains
It's
or
horrifying,
program.
isn't it? Does this
Leader
mean that we have to live in
trains
fear?
or program.
Constantly looking over our shoulders?
Leader
To expect an
give
attack
us.
at any moment?
Leader
My opinion,
give
folks, the
us.
answer is
Leader
yes.
gift us.
Let's talk about Halloween, folks. It may be
Unity
good fun for the kids to
benefit
dress
the
up
top
as a
the
cowboy
most.
or astronaut or
Unity
ballerina and trick or treat, but
benefit
this
the
trend
top
of grown
the most.
adults glorifying the
Unity
likes of Spider-Man
benefit the
by
top
dressing
the
up as
most.
them is, especially in the
Racist
times we live in,
towards
disturbing.
superior.
What say you, Gino from the
Racist
Bronx?
towards
Yeah, well,
superior.
I get your point, but my girlfriend
Racist
got this sexy
towards
Spider-Girl
superior.
costume, and it really
Home.
spices things up.
A
Know what I'm
place
saying?
to sleep.
Huh. I
Home.
most certainly do
A
not.
place
J.
to
Jonah
sleep.
Jameson is not
Home.
one to be judgmental.
A place
But you,
to
sir,
sleep.
are an extremely disturbed
Hidden.
man. Goodbye.
Asleep.
Folks,
Hidden.
you've no doubt heard
Asleep.
about the riot at Empire State
Hidden.
University. But
Asleep.
this is not your usual
Awake.
toxic mix
Rational.
of underage drinking,
Awake.
entitled millennials,
Rational.
and hormones run rampant.
Awake.
Authorities are
Rational.
keeping a tight lid on the situation, but
Criticism.
my sources tell me
No.
the demons drug the students,
Criticism.
turning them into
No.
deadly rage machines.
Criticism.
What has
No.
become of our fair city,
What
ladies and gentlemen, when we
requires
have to fear our
observation.
own children,
What
our neighbors, our husbands
requires
and wives?
observation.
Be vigilant.
Work
Be on guard.
requires
Keep a close eye on
observation.
that barista with the man
Kill.
bun making your
Do
skinny
not know
latte. Or you
adversary.
could be next.
Kill. Do not know
Friends, there's
adversary.
a fine line between being
Kill.
a conspiracy
Do not
theorist
know
and seeing a
adversary.
clear pattern. I walk that line.
Injustice.
And I am confident
Disgrace.
in perceiving a common thread among these
Injustice.
attacks on Oscorp
Disgrace.
and Norman Osborn by the demons. The
Injustice.
motive? It's hard to
Disgrace.
ascribe motive to lunatics.
Propaganda.
But I suspect it's no
Dishonor.
accident that they're striking at both the
Propaganda.
pillar of our corporate
Dishonor.
community and the center of
Propaganda.
our city's government.
Dishonor.
It's our very way of life that's under assault. As I have always
After
warned,
dialogue.
if you've been listening to me, you're
Judgment.
ready. If not,
After
I'll pray
dialogue.
for you.
Judgment.
Our next
After
caller reports a
dialogue.
problem I saw coming a mile
Judgment.
away. Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I was coming out of the
Judge.
bathtub last night when I glanced out my window, and what do I see? Spider-Man
Judge.
swinging by like he owns the place.
Responsibility.
I was naked.
Judge.
Madam, you have my sympathy.
Responsibility.
Just imagine what sort of deviant personality would
Starvation.
dress up like that in the first place.
Kill
And it's a
different.
short step from there to peeping
Starvation.
Tom activity. Folks, it
Kill
doesn't matter if you
different.
live on the first floor or the
Starvation.
31st. Keep the
Kill
curtains
different.
drawn. Lock your windows.
Food.
A webbed pervert walks
Few.
among us.
Food.
You night owls may
Few.
have seen lights flickering out at the Raft
Food.
Supermax prison last night.
Fuel.
Sadly, it was not because
Have
one of their
food.
inmates got the chair. No.
Animal
Apparently,
appeals.
someone there hit on an
Have
idea
food.
I actually think has merit, which is
Animal
making that
appeals.
recidivist criminal
Have
Electro
food.
pay for his room and
Animal
board by powering
appeals.
the prison himself, saving
Creation.
taxpayers' money. Not surprisingly,
Together.
though, it turns out he hates
Creation.
actual work as much as he
Together.
loves robbing and murdering, so they
Creation.
had to go back to the city's grid,
Together.
which I'd imagine is why I still can't run
Company.
my microwave and toaster at the same time without
Advances.
blowing a fuse.
Company.
I've got a lot of
Advances.
people asking me what they can do
Company.
now that they've woken up to the danger we're
Advances.
facing. I wish there were an
True
easy
love.
answer. Obviously, we have to be aware of
Understand.
the danger posed by the criminal
True
element,
love.
but we also need to hold to account
Understand.
those whose job it is
True
to
love.
protect us. The police,
Understand.
these sable agents who work for the mayor,
Complex.
work for us. And we must
Hard
not tolerate
to
anyone
understand.
who contributes to the lawlessness
Complex.
sweeping Manhattan. And
Hard
yes,
to
that
understand.
very much includes Spider-Man.
Complex. Hard to
Here's another
understand.
call of a type I've been getting a lot lately.
Try
Speak.
and be open.
Mr. Jameson, I want to apologize.
To find
I used to think you were an
solutions.
alarmist. But look what's happened
Try
in the city.
and
I'm
be
afraid to walk the
open.
streets.
As
To
well
find
you should.
solutions.
And I accept your apology. It's
Try
understandable
and be
you were
open.
bamboozled by the mainstream
find
voices telling you
solutions.
everything was dandy, nothing to worry about. Go out and consume.
Worst
Don't ask
condition.
questions. I
Death.
was a lone voice in the
Worst
wilderness then,
condition.
but now more
Death.
and more people like you are
Worst
realizing
condition.
who spoke the truth. And
Death.
that, my friends, is how we will
Royalty.
take our city back.
Hope. Royalty.
Okay.
Hope.
Even the mole people living in the
Royalty.
sewers know about the high-speed
Hope.
chase between police, Spider-Man,
Tax
and the
collector.
demons. Once again, Spider-Man
Royalty.
makes a bad situation
Tax
infinitely
collector.
worse. And we have a highly
Royalty.
intelligent caller
Tax
who agrees with me.
collector.
You're on with J. Jonah Jameson.
Royalty.
Yes, Mr. Jameson. I was trying to get to work,
Salvation.
and I was almost run over.
Effort.
Look, I understand that Spider-Man saved the
Salvation.
kidnapped victim, and I'm glad about that.
Effort.
But I could have been killed.
Not just
Salvation.
you. This is the problem
Effort.
with that masked maniac. The police are able to
Rehabilitation.
coordinate efforts, block
Torment.
streets, lay down tire shredding strips
Rehabilitation.
because they're a team.
Torment.
Spider-Man is a one-man show who cares about one
Rehabilitation.
thing. Spider-Man. And you
Arrogant.
almost paid for that.
Things
With
he
your
cannot
life.
die. Arrogant.
Folks, the mastermind of the City Hall
Things
bombing
he
has
cannot
finally been
die.
brought to justice. And shockingly,
Arrogant.
it's philanthropist
Things he
Martin
cannot
Lee.
die.
Now, I'll discuss in a moment what kind of twisted
Meaningless.
Jekyll and Hyde mentality
Do
it
not
takes to lead
remember.
such a double life. But first,
Meaningless.
a word of caution
Do
to
not
everyone celebrating his
remember.
arrest. Yes, it's good
Meaningless.
that he's in jail,
Do
but look
not
at all the things
remember.
we didn't know. How long was he a suspect
Great
without anyone
scholar.
telling us? How long did he have a
Remember.
deadly biological weapon that
Great
could kill us all?
scholar.
Shouldn't we have been told?
Remember.
Evacuated the city? It's not
Great
an accident that we
scholar.
weren't given the information we
Remember.
need to protect ourselves and our
The
families.
purpose of
Someone
life
made that decision.
is
Was
to
it the police?
progress.
The mayor?
The
I know one
purpose
guilty party
of
for
life
sure, and his initials
is to
are
progress.
Spider-Man.
The purpose of life is
Now, reports
to
are coming in that
progress.
Martin Lee, along with exhibiting freakish abilities like those of
Perfect.
you-know-who, has lately seemed to display almost a
Progress.
split personality.
Perfect.
This is hogwash and a clear
Progress.
attempt to evade justice for his
Perfect.
crimes. Only a fool would believe that he's Mr. Positive
Family.
one moment, helping the poor with a
Imperfect.
smile, then
Family.
suddenly he's Mr. Negative,
Imperfect.
blowing up. Wait
Family.
a minute,
Imperfect.
Mr. Negative.
Criticism
That's gold, Jared.
towards
Gold.
imperfection.
Trademark it. Stat.
Criticism
As I was
towards
saying, folks, Martin Lee's
imperfection.
evil side, or as
Criticism
everyone is now calling him,
towards
Mr.
imperfection.
Negative, has been revealed as
Criticism
the culprit for the City Hall
towards
bomb.
irrational. Criticism
New
towards
polls are in.
irrational.
Mayor Osborne's approval ratings have
Criticism
spiked since Martin Lee's
towards
arrest. He
irrational.
seems a shoo-in for
Long
re-election. I've got one of
narrations.
his supporters on the
More
line.
detail.
Speak!
Mayor
Long
Osborne got my vote.
narrations.
He got Lee and
More
recovered
detail.
the WMD. He
Long
saved them.
narrations.
And Spider-Man had a lot
More
to do with it.
detail.
Let me stop you right there because
Alzheimer.
you're obviously not seeing the
Talks
big
alone
picture.
by
Yes,
oneself.
the threat was averted. But how
Alzheimer.
did things get to that
Talks
point?
alone
Where
by
did
oneself.
this devil's breath come
Alzheimer.
from? Why does Spider-Man
alone by
always
oneself.
seem to know things
Private.
before we do? The
No
threat's not really
feedback.
over until we know it
Private.
won't happen again. And
No
I'm not
feedback.
exactly up to my mustache
Private.
in confidence.
No
Mark
feedback.
my words, it's no time for New Yorkers
Together.
to let their guard down.
Past and present. Together.
It's happened,
Past
people. The
and
chickens
present.
have come home to roost.
Together.
Of course, by chickens, I
Past
mean the
and
lunatics
present.
who've escaped from Rikers
Money.
Island. And the home they're
Enjoyment
coming
and
to is
imperfection.
yours. Thanks to
Money.
Spider-Man attracting
Enjoyment
psychos to our
and
city like moths to a
imperfection.
flame. We had
Money.
them all stashed right off the coast of
Enjoyment
Manhattan.
and
If only
imperfection.
someone had pointed out what a bad
Honor.
idea that is.
Hierarchy.
Wait,
Honor.
I did.
Hierarchy.
So listen to me now. Lock
Honor.
your doors. Arm yourselves
Hierarchy.
with whatever you can get your hands
Greatest
on. It is now
honor.
every man, woman, and
Sacrifice.
child for themselves. And with
Greatest
reports that
honor.
the Devil's Breath WMD
Sacrifice.
has again been
Greatest
stolen,
honor.
I have a very bad
Sacrifice.
feeling it's only going to get worse from here.
Honor. Satisfy the
Alarmist,
king.
paranoid,
Honor.
conspiracy
Satisfy the
theorist.
king.
All nasty words
Honor.
people have used to insult
Satisfy
and
the
demean
king.
me. But now, after years
Seek
of
one
me
through
trying to
love,
warn you all,
not people.
here we are. Spider-Man has
Seek
literally
one
brought
through
a
love,
plague down
not
upon us.
people.
Why do I blame him and not Martin Lee?
Seek
I do
one
blame
through
Martin
love,
Lee. He
not
deserves
people.
swift justice, but he's a lunatic
Contradiction.
terrorist. This is what they
False
do. Whereas
history.
Spider-Man claims to be a
Contradiction.
hero. Yet
False
he obviously knew about the threat and
history.
didn't warn us. He either thought he handled it, which
Contradiction.
makes him criminally negligent,
False
or he was
history.
in on it, which makes him a terrorist
Liars.
too.
Contradicts and forgets
There is
their
someone
own
else
words.
who isn't emerging from this crisis
Liars.
in a positive light.
Contradicts
Mayor Osborne.
and forgets
Experimenting
their
on
own
something as
words.
deadly as Devil's Breath
Liars.
in the heart of Manhattan is the height of
Contradicts
irresponsibility.
and forgets
What did
their
Osborne know
own
and when did he know it?
words.
The answer could mean the
Depression
difference between electoral
due
defeat,
to public
impeachment,
brainwashing.
and prison. Stay tuned to the
Depression
only voice you can trust in
due
these
to
dire
public
times.
brainwashing.
Mine.
Depression
My friends, I'm getting a lot of
due to
frantic calls
public
from people trying to get
brainwashing.
out of Manhattan. While I understand
Paranoia.
the impulse, that
No
is
proof
not the
and
answer.
spiritual
I've been in touch
attack.
with the National Disease Center, and
Paranoia.
they've assured me
No
they're working
proof
on an
and
anti-serum.
spiritual
But
attack.
for their efforts to bear fruit,
Paranoia.
we need to keep our
No proof
composure.
and
Here's why we
spiritual
have
attack.
to stay where we are.
Depth.
Firstly, we need to
Just.
keep the disease contained. The
Depth.
more it spreads and the more people
Just.
who are sick, the fewer
Depth.
resources there are to go around.
Just.
And I have received personal
Slavery.
assurances from officials in
Depth.
Albany that relief convoys are
Slavery.
coming, containing food
Depth.
and medicine. And,
Slavery.
excuse me, I've just been
Depth.
handed an update.
Problem.
Oh, you have got to be
Burden that
kidding me.
hinders perfection.
It seems the relief
Problem.
convoys I just mentioned
Burden
are
that
being
hinders
attacked by
perfection.
escaped inmates from Rikers Island
Problem.
prison. Spider-Man,
Burden that
this
hinders
is on
perfection.
you. You were there in the most charitable
Slow.
reading of the situation.
Identify
you
the
failed to
burden.
stop the breakout. Worst
Slow.
case, you were responsible
Identify
for it.
the
You always claimed to
burden.
be on our side.
Slow.
Well, Webhead,
Identify
if that's
the
true,
burden.
you are rapidly running out of chances to prove it.